Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Just wanted to say happy Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas Eve. And wanted to share with you a quick thought um, uh, from a devotional that I read this morning. And it had to do with Matthew 1:19. Matthew 1:18 says, "This is how the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, came about. His mother Mary was pledged to be married to Joseph, but before they came together, she was found to be pregnant through the Holy Spirit. Because Joseph, her husband, was faithful to the law and yet did not want to expose her to public disgrace, he had in mind to divorce her quietly." And there's two little phrases that are interesting here. The first is faithful to the law, and the second is they did not want that he did not want to expose her. And if you look in the Greek, what you'll see is that there are these forms of words called participles. And participles are essentially verbs that are used as adjectives. They're kind of verbal forms that can be used as an adjective. So think of it like going, gone, being, been. They can be used as an adjective, like say working woman. Working would be a participle, or burned toast, right? To burn is a verb, but it's become kind of an adjective. The toast is burned. Or it could be something like a noun, where something that was an example is like a good talking, or a good breeding, or a good walking. Like these are things that become a noun. Anyway, what we have in the Greek is you have these participles, and they can actually be translated two different ways. The first one is kind of like there's a cause and effect here. It would be called causal. And that would mean that both Joseph was both righteous, because faithful to the law is actually the Greek word meaning righteous. And you could even translate it as being righteous, faithful to the law, being righteous. And the other one is not wanting. They're both participles. Are very close, have the same form in the Greek. He's being righteous and not wanting. And so you could kind of think about it like causal, in this meaning that Joseph is righteous, and his righteousness is expressed by not wanting to expose Mary to public disgrace. Or, which kind of seems like this is how the NIV is translating it, it could be that that he is faithful to the law, he's righteous, and in despite of that righteousness, and yet despite of that righteousness, he did not want to expose her to public disgrace. So which one can you translate it as? I mean, both honestly are equally valid ways that he was righteous and didn't want to expose her. Or you can translate it, he was righteous, but he did not want to expose her. So both are equally valid in terms of a translation. But here's something that might help us kind of think through what was actually meant there. If you go to Matthew 9:13, it says, "But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice." It's actually saying this in response to some Pharisees that were saying, "Hey, why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? Why does he hang out with these people that are terrible?" Jesus heard this, and he said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." See, there's this one sense of righteousness that's expressed here. I didn't come to call the righteous. I didn't come to call the people who do everything right, the people who follow the law really well, the people who have it all together, the people who really are really good. They make a list, they check it twice, right? Just like we say here at Christmas, and they follow that list and they make these things happen. And they're just really good people, even by sheer force of will. Sometimes they can just make the right decisions. But Jesus says, I haven't come to call the righteous by that definition of righteousness, but sinners. When we go back to Joseph, that Joseph was righteous, is it that he was righteous, but he still didn't want to expose her to public disgrace? Or is it more that Joseph was righteous and he showed that righteousness by not wanting to expose her to public disgrace? See, this is the first time that Matthew is using the word righteous, and there's a kind of a principle that you look to the first time within a document to see how it's used. And so the way you translate this is actually pretty important. And in light of what Jesus says later, you almost think he is switching this righteousness up on, he's switching this righteousness on its head. Because Jesus says, like, our righteousness needs to surpass the Pharisees, and yet at the same time he's coming and he's with tax collectors and he's with sinners, and he's bringing mercy. See, learning what it means, God desires mercy, not sacrifice. He desires mercy maybe more than the traditional ways of thinking about righteousness. See, what I think is going on, and actually the point of the devotion I read this morning, is that that Joseph is actually righteous because it's part of his righteousness, not despite his righteousness, but because of his righteousness. Part of his righteousness that he's being merciful to Mary. He demonstrates this, right? That God prefers mercy over sacrifice. Jesus demonstrated what that preference looks like by befriending tax collectors and sinners. And his sacrifice on the cross, it was about extending mercy to sinners rather than leaving us to our own destruction. Let me read you directly from this devotional. It says, by the time we finish Matthew's gospel, it is clear that even if Joseph's plan seemed unexpected, according to traditional perceptions of righteousness, it was what one would expect in light of the transformed understanding of righteousness taught and modeled by Jesus himself. It was that kind of righteousness that led Joseph to think and act as he did. And again, that devotional, you can find it in the devotions on the Greek New Testament. It's 52 reflections to inspire and instruct. And the one who wrote that particular one was Professor Roy E. Ciampa, Ciampa. So what's going on here? Well, here's what we have. We have a righteousness that is now expressed perfectly through mercy. And, I think for us, what that means is that God's mercy to us was a righteous choice. That God's mercy that he gives to other people is a righteous choice. It's a just choice. See, a lot of times we think people should get what they deserve, right? Our entire justice system is based not on mercy, but on this idea that you broke the law and you're gonna feel the full force of the law, right? That now you deserve this, and a judge gets to decide what's going to happen to you. And I see it happen that people want justice. When you watch some of these shows where someone's been murdered, and of course you'd feel that way. People want justice. They want the person to get what they deserve. They want them to go to jail. They want them, in some cases, some people want them to have the death penalty. But what we have in the gospel is a God who's perfect, who takes the death penalty for us. On the cross, mercy and justice, mercy and righteousness come together in a beautiful moment and a beautiful concept. See, it's God's mercy that enables us through the power of the Holy Spirit to give mercy, to give grace to ourselves, our families, our friends, to our enemies, to people that have hurt us, to people that we hurt. It's God's mercy. The righteousness is expressed through mercy. The righteousness is now identified. It's now shaped by mercy, not sacrifice. And what we see all the way at the beginning is this example of what Joseph does. And I wonder if part of God's plan was that he did this in Joseph, and Joseph would then teach this to Jesus when recounting the story of what happened, that Jesus started to learn from a very early age that righteousness might be different than some of the other people in the culture say that it is. That has something more to do with mercy than anything else. So as you're in your Christmas festivities, as you're with family, I know it can be stressful. Give yourself grace. Give others grace and mercy as the stress rises at times. Things get annoying. Your kids play with other people's kids, and that can create tension, and your expectations aren't met, and other people's expectations aren't met. All that stuff, it can create stress. So just remember to be merciful, and that mercy expresses righteousness. I love you guys. Look forward to seeing you soon, and we will talk later. God bless, guys. Can't wait to hang with you next week. Bye.